your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and many blessings this holiday season. Welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made in this week. Now, as usual, I'll give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made in first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Ooh-wee. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Record broken for Boardman powerlifter. Jacob Boyles, a Boardman High School senior, is in the record books after breaking the Pennsylvania state record. He bench pressed 307 labs, that's pounds, deadlift 518 pounds, and lifted 507 pounds on the squat rack. Now, what got the story in is the fact that this was only his second time competing at a USPA event. So story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. New bus garage in Struthers. Struthers had a ribbon cutting for a new 11,000 square foot transportation facility. The garage will house 11 buses and a district van. The projected budget is set at $1.7 million. Now, according to a news release that was published in the Vindicator, it was an article published December 2nd. Now, the project was paid for through grants, a lease purchase agreement, and some local funding. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3. Local family fallouts and domestic abuse is not uncommon around the holidays. Folks, money gets tight around this time of year, and when kids don't have Christmas, it gets wild, especially if nobody can provide, whether it be food or anything. They see their friends celebrate Christmas. Now, other incidents may involve mom and dad just being separated, and one or the other could face off to spend time with their kids. That means they can face off with each other. Now, every story is different. Now, the story made it in, this story made it in after a local Boardman man was accused of an attack on his ex-girlfriend. Another story says that another Boardman man is being charged with harassing his wife around this time of year. Now, the report does not say if the incidents have anything to do with holiday stress, but does mention alcohol as a factor in one report. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Judicial news in Struthers. After Jennifer Sircone's loss in the Struthers Municipal Court race, she lost by, I think it was 10.28%. Now there are claims of improper, irregular, and illegal conduct in the election. These allegations have emerged. Now, this story adds to a rash of voting conspiracies against Republicans. This is after Donald Trump. They're basically saying that people are just conspiring to rig votes for in the elections, folks. This is us making this a top story. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. Christmas parade in Youngstown is labeled a success. The 2023 holiday parade and Christmas tree lighting began at 6 p.m. and was labeled a success for the city of Youngstown. The event provided so many videos and photos, spectacles of light and jolly jingles, along with a stimulated business atmosphere for the moment. Now, that is it, but the point is, it gave the city some very needed business. And the news brought in says that 15,000 people attended this event. So that is a success for Youngstown, and the businesses wish that those 15,000 people would be there every night. That's why story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6. A crash on I-80. The I-80 interstate brings up a road safety debate again after a semi crashed on I-80, killing the driver of a pickup truck. Road safety is back in the headlines. Now, this is after Ohio just passed measures cracking down on distracted driving. Now, driver safety is becoming a big issue for Ohio State Highway Patrol, thus almost getting this story into the top 2. Because when you're talking the interstate, especially around this time of year, you are talking danger. That's people from all around the country could be traveling, and when they see that happening, that's not good news. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, I'm starting to think that maybe animals even have Christmas. There's been these animals hanging out around the building. I don't know where they're coming from. One night I came and I had my Christmas hat on, and dang old deer was in the parking lot, man. I said, oh, wow. And he looked at me, I looked at him, and that joker shot across the street. Pew! And I come out one night, I had my Christmas hat on, and I seen a cat, same condition. Cat looked at me, I looked at him, he go, phew, running across the street. Then the next day I see a fox. Looked at me and looked at him, pew, running across the street. I don't know where these animals are coming from. Some of them are just hanging out in the building, eating, discussing the news. When they see me, they always run. Sometimes I be thinking about, I just want to have a conversation with these animals and see what they own in their mind. The other night I come out, my windows in my car all rolled down. I mean, these animals out here, wherever they running from, they probably running from the cops in Mel Creek Park. They coming to me. They probably need some mediation. They just don't know how to ask. So that's my story for this week. What's going on at the studio is that the animals are starting to come out and hang out with Brian. They need a mediator. Need somebody to save the day. Story number 7. Perfect ACT score in Canfield. Woo-wee! He made it to the top 2 stories. Let's get this right. Now, a Canfield High School junior, Tariq Mishkoba. That is probably Arabic. Now he is. I hope it is. I hope I didn't mess that up. If he did, come find me, Tariq. Come in the studio. You can hang out with me with the animals. Now he scored. He is 16. He's 16 years old. He scored a perfect score of 36 on his ACT test as a sophomore. Now, this story made him because academics has been on the agenda for many area schools, and Tariq Mishkoba has now set the bar, folks. Mashkoob. That's probably how you pronounce Mashkoob. Smoothing out. Mashkoob. He made a perfect score, so he's setting the bar for local kids. I hope I got that right, Tariq. Forgive me. I'm only human. I'm doing my best, but I believe that's a Mashkoob. Mashkoob. Big headline. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week. I hope Tariq don't come hunt me down, man. I've been having it. Been working as hard as I can, so I hope he don't. You messed my name up, Brian. It's going down now, brother. I got my perfect score, but now I'm going to get a perfect knockout. Come on, sucker. Like, Tariq, come on, man. Come on, brother. ACT, SAT. I only got a 32 on my ASVAB, man. Come on, help me out, man. Help me out. Get a simple name like Brian West, baby. My mother. Thank my mother. Thank my mother and thank the ancestors who gave me. Brian West. Simple name. Simple name for simple causes, baby. Story number 8. We're going to hang out, Tariq. I'll give you take you out to lunch if I ever meet you. Come on by, man. Stop by the studio. Take you out to eat for your perfect score. What is Valley Vision 2050? Story number 8, top story. 1 million is the number in an article by Ed Runyon from the county's general fund for Valley Vision 2050, which is a regional economic development initiative involving Eastgate Regional Council of Governments, Valley Partners, Western Reserve Port Authority, Youngstown Foundation, and Youngstown Wood Regional Chamber. Focus groups consist of 38 interviews. It consisted of 38 interviews and about 80 participants in 60 organizations, all offering ideas on how to make the Mahoning Valley more economically competitive. Now, the article concludes by assembling a list of cultural and business ambitions. That's what Stern Ray made to the top this week, because they are talking the future for Valley Vision 2050. That's why Stern Ray made to the top this week. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news story that made it. And congratulations, Tariq. I'm an advocate for academics. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. Don't go anywhere. You're in the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, I remember some of the Christmases I've had. I'll never forget when I when I got divorced and I met a girl who was going through a divorce, and we started to hang out, and I spent Christmas with her and her kids, and this is like the adventures of Christmas, and finding out that everybody celebrates Christmas differently. And her son, I mean, this kid was sharp. He was sharp, man, real smart. He was every time I come over the house, man, he was always watching me. You know, when I'd be hanging out with his mom, he'd always be hanging out in the room, making sure, you know, he'd keep an eye on his mother. And one Christmas I came over, he was hanging out in the front yard, hanging from the trees, and I never forget this kid, man. And I said, that brother gonna work for the FBI, because when we was bringing presents in the house this one Christmas, for some odd reason, that kid, he kept looking at me, and I had my Santa Claus hat on, and he was a little different, but he said, "You Santa Claus, ain't you?" And I was like, no. I said, no. Santa Claus live in the North Pole. He said, you a dang on lie. You Santa Claus and my mama is Mrs. Claus. I said, oh, boy. Whew. You know, kids got an amazing imagination. When I heard him say this, I started getting a little scared. And after a while, he kept saying it. Kept coming by the room when I'd be hanging out with his mother be in the room, snuggling up. And y'all spying on me and stuff. Because Christmas is real magical for kids. And when we was putting the presents under the tree while they was asleep, I said, that dog old kid is smart. That brother is smart. I said, he figured it out. Me and his mother is Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. So I looked at his mother and I gave her a hug, and we put presents under the tree. Woke up all fanatical and excited and stuff, and that's what I was like, man, this Christmas stuff is special. I felt real magical and jiggly, you know, felt alive. And then when me and his mother broke up, and I had to leave, and I walked away, and he looked at me, and I said bye, and I guess he looked at me and said, you ain't Santa Claus no more. You ain't even my daddy. And I'll never forget it. And I walked away. But I didn't stop believing in Christmas. And when I had to leave his mother, I didn't get to even say goodbye to the kid. I didn't even get to say goodbye. But I made a song about it. Goes a little something like this. When you have that special someone around Christmas time, don't piss off their mother if they're baby's daddy and they're looking at you funny around Christmas time, and you're just trying to be a good father, a good man, and their mother dump you for a blast of weed. Ooh. Then you are really Saint Nick. Don't give up on Christmas. Don't give up on blessing somebody's kids. even if you get dumped for a bag of weed. Story, let's get to it, folks. Whew. So I've had some rough Christmases, but I'm hanging in there. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Young America and finances. Speaking of young folks and Christmas, being called Santa Claus. Taking notice of America's most recent financial problems. That's the news. Now, more states are requiring students to take a personal financial course. Now, this article centers around Young America, reporting on states like Alabama, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, Tennessee, Utah, Virginia, whom all earn an A grade because they require high school graduates to take a personal finance course. Now, the article has some staggering numbers to prove its main talking point, which is America is focusing on the next generation to provide financial security for the country. That's why story number 1 made in this week. Story number 2. Crime data shakes up top retailers. The Street has a piece labeling the most recent string of retail theft as organized crime. The piece goes on to explain what all has been taking place when it comes to the shocking crime data. The data says that 29% of employees steal merchandise or money. Wow. And another 34% is lost to process errors or for unknown or other reasons, and the remaining 36% is from external theft, causing a huge problem when it comes to for retailers. So each retailer has taken different steps to stop and limit theft, but at the moment there is just no solution to the growing rash of thieves that keep stealing, and the more they steal, the more money is lost, and the more people will shut down. That's why story number 2 made this week. I hope we are not headed into the abyss. Big head. Story number 3. American academia remains in top headlines. That's academics, top news. America's educational institutions remain in the headlines, especially after another strange mass shooting at the University of UNLV by a college professor. Now, one Fox News headline labels it as a cancer on the American society, which is in need of reform, according to another professor. So they're saying that the American college, the atmosphere needs to change, needs to uplifting. Now, the piece goes on to highlight how college campuses have become a cancer by labeling them a breeding ground for anti-American racial radicalism. Ooh, that's a bad word, radicalism. Now, this story is still developing. Radicalizing people on campus. I haven't heard that one. That's why story number 3 made it this week. We're headed to the movie of higher learning. I don't know if y'all remember that one. Big head. Story number 4. Global affairs are making it hard for American Palestinian people and American Jews. Now, with continued news in circulation about the Israel and Palestinian Hamas conflict, not just with Palestinian, but this is conflicts. This is global. Now, this is a global affair, and it is making it hard for many American Palestinians and Jews. CNN has a piece stating that Jews, Palestinians, and Muslims in the U.S. all say they're experiencing growing fear when it comes to bigotry and hatred in communities all across the United States. Now, as things continue to get worse, the victims of these harsh and brutal incidents will be in need of whatever support they can get. This story is still developing, thus making this a top story. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4, so don't you go anywhere. The Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back.
What does Method8Inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8Inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, we are seeing violence like we've never seen it before. Violence. And especially around Christmas, and you start, you find out, I find out the reason why this is happening. A long time ago, I told a joke about my dad and how my dad was down with OPP, but around Christmas time, he would get happy and jolly, and buy us presents, and he would just get all excited. He'd come around in a Santa hat. And I looked at that and I said, this is something that I like, and I liked, because it was a time of year where it was just some magic. And now we're starting to see bitter brothers, bitter other color brothers, and we see people shooting up people on college campuses and coming to the mall and shooting people around Christmas. The other day, I got into somebody wanted me to do something, and I said I couldn't do it. And I invited this person. I thought he was a dear brother to a Christmas party. Some brothers don't want to believe in Christmas. They don't want to celebrate Christmas. Whew. I can understand, from a religious standpoint. But why would you spend your whole, it even says in the Bible to just try to loosen. I have to loosen up a little bit every time. Just loosen up. Have a good time. Let in the spirit. God said to the shepherd boy, do you see what I see? Woo! A child shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Loosen up, brothers. Loosen up, white brothers. Loosen up, black brothers. Loosen up, Muslims. It's Christmas time. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5. Call Brian. The border stories continue to spark debates. Magical time of year. Even the borders stand alive. Now, NBC News reports that there is a backlog of abuse and abandoned young immigrants waiting for green cards. And Mahoning says that Congress is haggling over border security. Fox News has a piece headline that migrants in Chicago are attacking Biden for ignoring them, stating that they need job permits. Now, either there's some miscommunication going on at the border, or with Biden, there's something going on while he's in office. Illegals see a pathway in. So something's going on. The story is still developing. So story number 5 made it. Story number 6, the job market. CNN Business says that America had an estimate of 8.7 million available jobs in October, according to data released Tuesday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, this is citing a 2-year low when it comes to U.S. job openings. That's making this story almost make it to the top 2, because we're talking work, and when it goes down, people are out of a job. Big headline. Layoffs continue. Spotify, Tidal. Ooh-wee. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Hoping that God will come and bless us, rescue us, and save us this holiday season. Story number 7. Financial gurus continue to sound the alarm. Suze Orman has stayed in the headlines. She warns of the looming financial pandemic, stating that Americans have no one to rely on. Oh boy. Some key factors mentioned in the report include climbing cost and debt, all increasing, the cost of everything. Now, the piece has some interesting advice for Americans when it comes to their investment portfolio. The piece in MoneyWise goes on to mention some other factors eating away at the American pocketbook, including credit card debt. She goes on to stress the fact that Americans lack an emergency fund at the moment, thus making this a top story. Also made to the top this week. Big headline. We're talking money. Story number 8 in the top international headline and developing news story that made it this week. I remember on ESPN. I remember everybody, Stuart Scott. I don't know if everybody remembers Stuart Scott. He was like, "Booyah!" Top 8 story right here. Booyah, baby. Story number 8. Long time ago. That was back in probably the 90s, early 2000s. How is America doing in the field of foreign affairs? Booyah! Here we go. Forbes has a piece stating that the U.S. should work to rebuild China ties as engagement ends and tensions flares. Now, American foreign affairs continues to remain in the headlines with wars breaking out between Israel and Hamas. Russia also remains in the headlines due to the continued conflicts with Ukraine. At the moment, the American way continues to be we seems to be acting as the provider for the aid and the financial backing, and giving these people everything they possibly need. And with the taxpayer concerned about, wait a minute, I can't even pay my bills. Where's my money? How are you printing money when we don't have money? Folks, this story is staying alive because the American taxpayer is taking notice and they're waking up. How are you cutting my benefits and you're giving them benefits? Why? Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of doing the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I am just the mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories to keep people informed. If you wanted to show us some support here at Method 8, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor the program. Or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio. Shake my hand, smile, pinch my cheeks, whatever you want to do. Tickle me, whatever you want to do. I'll be here. I'll be back next week, Lord willing, looking through over 200 or more stories just around Christmas time to give you the top 8. And we also have our Christmas party on the 16th. If you want to come check us out, we'll be at 610 North Lakeview Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. That's at Shepherd of All God's Children. Folks, I am out here. Have a good week, everybody, and don't forget to get that Christmas dinner ready. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The